get the feeling we're overrun. Sending boys in the trucks with the 50 cals. Tell every swinging neck bring extra rounds. Hang in now, boys, we're on our way. Don't send them all to heaven before we get a taste. Whoa, cry havoc, let's slit the doors of room. What you gonna do?
And happy Sunday to you folks. Welcome to another edition of the Double S Podcast. We are live. Welcome back. We are live again Sunday night. About to have ourselves a show of shows. Now, in normal fashion, as live shows would have it, we've had a couple changes here on the guest list here, but that's okay. We've got just the sexy guys showed up, so that's the main thing. It's going to be a good-looking show tonight. You can guarantee that. And we'll see about the other guys, see if they can make it or not. That's what they get. They get to be ugly since they didn't show up. That's how I'm going to classify it. Hey, man, hope you are doing well in the holiday season as it's approaching. I know for some folks, it can get a little tricky this time of year. And if that's the case, then this is going to be a show for you. All right. This is going to be something for you tonight, that we're going to sit down, we're going to break bread, we're going to share some stories, and we're going to talk about a whole lot of good stuff in here. Okay. If there's questions, cool. Fire those questions off. I can't guarantee that we got the answers to this, but at the end of the day, I think you'll be in a better position than what you were when the show started. Let's just put it that way, and we'll move on. We'll let it kind of do what it wants to do with you. Hey, before we get going too much further, let's go ahead and pay the bills here. All right. Every episode of the Double S Podcast brought to you by the Romans Warrior Foundation. Hashtag helping is healing. Go check them out at romanswarriorfoundation.org. It is the giving season. If you'd like to help bring healing across the nation through any one of the specific divisions that we have there in the programs at Romans Warrior Foundation, just dog-ear the donation right there, and I guarantee you that is money well spent, and that will go towards healing and finding ways to reach our brothers and sisters out there, whether it's through the Field Ops Division, the Global War on Terror's Wall of Remembrance, the Stop 22 aspects, Label 22, you name it. It's all in there. If you followed any one of those areas, then you know what we're talking about there. Of course, our little show, our little nonprofit, the True Patriot Outfitters, we are fishing with a mission, y'all. That's the whole name of the game. We're out there and we're doing what we can in our little part here in Colorado and the regional area and the Midwest. We'll go anywhere around the country if the funding's there and the need is there for sure. We'll find a way to make it happen. But that's where we normally operate. Of course, the entire family at the Heroes Media Group, Mr. Adam Bird, and all the great podcast shows giving us an opportunity to join the ranks of these guys. Each one of our shows could not be possible without them. And the sister company, HMG Beverage. Make sure to get you some Kickstart because Gene said so. All right. Let's go ahead and get this going here. Let's go ahead and bring him in. Turn that down just a hair. We have the man himself, the big toe, the big fish, the head cheese. No, not head cheese. That's not right. Yeah, we're going to bring the man in. Mr. Adam Bird is sitting backstage. Let's go and get him in here. What's happening, boss? How you doing?
What's going on, baby? Good to be here. Good to be here.
Yeah. Yeah, we, these other guys, wouldn't you know it, freaking Marines, doing what they're doing. No, in all honesty, Josh, I hope you are feeling better, brother. Josh Booth let me know early today that he is under the weather pretty bad. Throat not good, got no breath, got no voice. He's probably worried about his Chiefs playing tonight. That's what it is. Because if they lose, they're pretty much done, dog. And not that I'm a Bronco fan over here celebrating or anything, but That's probably what he's sick about, but that's all right. That's all right. Romans, I know he has got like 72 different jobs that he does on his normal. So let's hopefully we'll get him in here as time goes on. Mr. Ginger, thank you for tuning in, brother. Appreciate it, man. There's a Marine. See, they're in here. They're coming around. Hey, Adam, it's December 7th, sir. 1941.
It's crazy.
The world changed.
Yeah.
Everything changed. And I'm trying to find a place here. We'll just, yeah, any rate. I put a little post up there, and this was, such a pivotal turning point in the world. Now, World War One had been there, right? And we got involved, and it was there was something about the World War II involvement, though. It was something also with the fact that we had been attacked. They hit us on our soil.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, wait a minute. Much like 9/11 caught everyone going, hold on, they attacked us here? There was like this safety net that was always in place in the back of our heads that could never happen to us,
Right.
type thing. That no one would dare do that. And that strike there, that hit, that was the point at which all bets are off now, right? And that would not be forgotten. What took place there, what ultimately led to ending this thing, especially Japan. Pushing us forward probably to make that hard decision to say, yeah, we're going to end it, and we're going to end it abruptly.
Yeah. Yeah.
But-
and the way that we did.
Yeah, exactly. But that was also, in this stuff where I see as a civilian over here, this was another day proof that when motivated, this country can absolutely come together. And when it comes together, it's a force that can't be reckoned with.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
you think that still exists today?
I see. Part of me wants to just dive right into the topic for tonight with the answer. Do I think it still exists today? I think it's possible that it can happen. I would like to see it happen without another catastrophic event on our soil that would force us to come together. It shouldn't, we should just come together as a community, as a country anyway, right?
Yep.
But I think what's happening is you definitely come together. It's almost like wakening the beast, right? You go in and
Yamamoto.
yeah. You okay, now you pissed us off. And now everybody's coming together. And it's just like, oh shit, here we go. Like, what did we do? I didn't think this one through. We should be like that regardless, in my opinion.
Agreed.
I think we should be like that regardless.
It's like that when we lose someone, all of a sudden we start thinking about things that, quite frankly, we should have been thinking about and should have been saying before we lost them.
Yeah.
Right? I have one of these, and this, taps into our topic here tonight about faith. One of these instances took place in 1997. The only man that I would pretty much ever consider to be my father was a stepfather, Wayne. And he and my mother came out here to Colorado. I was a young man. They came out here to Colorado, and they spent, a rare opportunity. They had to travel from Minnesota because he was almost 80, and my mother was with health issues, this and that, so they didn't travel that often. Well, they come out and they were see my brother and I and his family and such. And I remember I was dating my kid's mom at the time, and it was around Father's Day, and I wanted to get up back to Longmont to give him a Father's Day card that I'd bought for him. And something come up, and I found a reason why not to. And I thought, you know what? I'll mail it to him. No problem. That September, we lost him. He went out, bowled the best game of his life after having a great night down at the bowling alley at almost 80 years old. And when he came home, went to the bathroom, he passed away from heart failure there in the bathroom that night. And I still have that card still today. And it's a reminder to me, hey, dumbass, tell the people you love them that you love, and make sure you go. Don't wait another day, right?
Yeah.
Same topic, right? Same premises that you'd like to think we don't need catastrophic stuff to remember to be smart
Right.
and good. Well, let's fire this thing up, man. Faith is the topic that we're talking about here. Now, this is a broad scale, okay? The word faith. Because immediately when you say it, it invokes a religious overtone for some folks. And I'd like to kind of maybe break that down a little bit. Take it back a little bit from the standard religious realm and think about what faith truly is at its heart. And to me, it means something completely different. What about you? When you hear the word faith, does it immediately go to a religious thought, or do you think something different?
I think it does a little bit, and because I grew up, my family went to church on Sundays. I'd say in my 20s, I kind of lost my path, if you will. Always believed in God, and never kind of strayed away from that said belief. Didn't necessarily agree with like organized religion or anything like that, but I can almost remember to the day where I thought about like, okay, I believe in God, but I'm gonna do things my way, because it's it's
Mhm.
19, 20 years old, full of piss and vinegar, and he's like, better than anybody, right?
Yeah, just ask us.
Right. But but when I think of faith, it's like, what's the definition of faith? Let's start there. What is the definition of faith?
I actually looked into this. It's a belief or trust. I'm gonna fire it up again. Yep.
I'll tell you what I think the definition is, or what
Yep.
it may come more along the lines, but it's believing in something that you cannot see.
So, and by its universal definition, it's complete trust or confidence in someone or something. That's faith.
Okay.
Strong belief, in. But the word belief comes up many times, and trust and
Right.
confidence.
So we're in the ballpark.
Yep.
So
That-
faith to me then is like it's just having, like, I don't have an answer. I just know it's going to happen.
Sure.
The problem with that, being a male, can't control it, and it's never on my effing timeline. You know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
It's like, and I think knowing that you don't have control over a situation, and knowing that it's not going to happen on your timeline. Now, mind you, this is probably more from a religious side of thing. Like, we're not on our time, we're on God's time. So let me be, I'll say it from the religious standpoint there. You don't have no control over it, and it's not in your timeline. You're ignorant to think that you have control, and you're ignorant to think that it's going to be on your time. It's not, but you have enough faith that it will happen the way that it's supposed to, when it's supposed to. And that's for any situation. You can literally instill that in any part of your life.
Right. Right. Here's an interesting piece. Faith. Whether you are of a religious background or not,
Yeah.
whether you're an atheist or a devout Roman Catholic, you have faith.
Yeah.
Everybody has faith in something.
Right.
That's the thing. It's always there. It's not as if you don't have it. I mean, the very fact that you get up and you go to work, you get in your car and you drive through the craziness, especially if you live in the metro areas of any major city in America these days.
Yeah.
You take your life in your own hands and you have faith that you're going to make it there. Because if you didn't, you'd never leave the house. You buy food from a grocery store and you consume it and you have faith that somebody checked it and said this wasn't garbage. And you shouldn't have faith there because most of the stuff we buy is garbage. But you have faith in these things, right? So no matter how you want to break it down, we all have it and possess it. It's there. It's a trust or a confidence in something or someone.
Yeah.
So there's not an existence. For the longest time, I viewed, and I still view, atheists and the Roman Catholics. I put Roman Catholics at the far end, man. There's a lot of voodoo in that, going on and such. And I mean, no disrespect. I'm not poo-pooing. I'm just saying for somebody who's not in there, rubbing ashes and swinging, smoking chalices around and stand up, sit down, stand up, kneel down, stand. There's a lot of, there's a lot of stuff that comes with the process. But I looked at the two the same because both of them are so hard set on something that they can't physically prove, but they're convinced of their superiority and convinced that they are correct.
Fair.
And after a while, at some point, if you're on the outside looking in, you start to connect the dots, go, wait a minute. Maybe it isn't science versus God. Maybe it isn't that. Maybe science isn't disproving anything. Maybe the two run side by side this whole time and they complement each other if you really start paying attention to what we're seeing out there. Short of, I will draw a line to the idea of like the creationist museum. Bless their heart, but humans and dinosaurs didn't roam the earth at the same time. Okay, Fred Flintstone was a cartoon, and that's that. They actually have some setups there that actually show cavemen next to dinosaurs. And say, no, that didn't happen. Because that wouldn't have happened long, and we wouldn't be sitting here if that were the case.
Yeah.
I mean, if Jurassic Park doesn't convince you enough, I don't know what else is going to.
Theories. We're all full of those too.
Right. I think I saw this on a different podcast out there, but isn't this that science is all about, the proof piece, we have, a great idea of creation, albeit if you grant us one miracle. And that one miracle is that everything came from nothing. The Big Bang.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's like there's still, that, wait a minute, wait. Even that itself, is in itself, taking that leap forward.
Right.
And I think we get caught up maybe with that part of it. But no, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I wanted to go back to the parallel part of it.
Yeah.
Like science and God. It's like, who says, I think a lot of people, and when you said it that way, I think a lot of people think it's either one or the other. And no one's really said that they're running on a similar parallel. They're just parallel to each other. Not on the same path. I would agree with that statement that science and God are not on the same path.
Sure.
But I would say that it could run parallel.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. See, I've got my own theory piece. I'd like to get in. I'll share some stories in a minute. So yeah, Jason says it's all theory. We don't know shit.
Yeah. Well, he's not wrong.
To a great degree. Yeah.
He's not. Yeah.
And that's where that faith and belief and trust, that's where these things start to come together. But here's my theory on this piece. The good book, whatever version you choose to read or engage in, from the Old Testament to the New Testament, We have historical account that says and shows the New Testament was pieced together by a Roman emperor and his council. We know that. They chose certain books that would be included into the New Testament, which is fine. I used to think that was, like, well, see that right there. This isn't the word. This
And
isn't
purposely left certain books out.
Yeah, and there's a lot of weight to that.
I literally just had this conversation with my son, who, as you know, is going in his master's program at seminary school right now.
Yeah. The
Very-
book the book of Thomas, the book of Enoch, the
Mhm.
book of Mary Magdalene, all those were left out. And they do say some very interesting things in those books. Love to get a hold of them and actually read part of that. But here's my piece that I've come to grips with. I don't look at this book as a manual to life. It is not a follow step. It's not an IKEA build chart, right? I don't look at these things to say that this is where this goes, this is where this goes, this is how this happens. More so, I'm reading these stories in these books in the Gospels, and I'm hearing the overall message. I'm starting to try to dig into what's coming from this, because it's much bigger than just this was this and this was that and this is how things happened. But moreover, there's little keys in there. For instance, in the book of Genesis, I've gone back through and I'm paraphrasing through this, but I read through this, and it clearly states, it talks about how in the beginning, when God is creating things, that it's coming from the oceans. And yet, and science maintains that we believe life began in the oceans on this planet, and it came from that. So again, I submit back on this going, maybe it's not one versus the other, boys and girls. Maybe we're starting to see something coming together. Now, is it divine intervention? I don't know. I'm not going to sit there and say that. Right? I have my own personal life to draw from and my own personal experiences where I do believe there's been guidance. I can't turn away and ignore that anymore. I know for a fact there's been some stuff that's taken place that you'd have to be a complete dolt to try to lock it up to chance or random occurrence. That's illogical in my mind. Too many times, no, it doesn't work that way. But so you grew up, Adam, in a church environment. I did not. At what point? So you're a young man. Was it during your service? Was it as you were going off there? At what point did it, or has it always just been a part of you, and you were just trying to figure out how it was going to be a part of you?
It's a great question. Not really sure how to answer that, in a sense of, I think it's always been a part of me, but I've always had questions. So you ever feel like you're somewhere and you just don't belong, and you kind of feel like the oddball, or like you hear something somebody says, and it's like, okay, I hear what you're saying, but why is it that way? And then they don't have an answer for you, or can you elaborate on that? And they don't have an answer for you. And that was kind of how I felt like at some churches. Other churches that I've gone to a lot of different churches, a lot of different denominations, and I look at religion now as like you have, corporate with, different departments, right? Under the same corporation, you just work in different departments. That's how I look at organized religion. For me, my experience, like I wear this cross on my neck. I don't take this off. I've had this cross for, I don't know, 20 plus years. My mom got it for me. The only time this ever comes off my body is during x-rays and during CAT scans. That's it.
Love it.
And when I talk, and Gene, you've known me for a while, I do a lot of public speaking and stuff like that. So when I'm on stage and I share my faith, I'm telling people, I'm not trying to convince people that, hey, this works, you need to go do this. I'm just telling you what works for me, or what has worked for me from the faith side of things, if that makes sense.
Right.
So
We got it.
So to kind of go back to your question, has it always been a part of me? I think it's always been a part of me, but there's always been questions that I've had and that I've questioned. And now that I've gotten a little more seasoned in life, I start deep diving a little bit more. And it's great for me because I got somebody that's very close to me now that is in seminary school, and I have great conversations because I trust him. On it, and it's here to hear a younger generation's point of view on how the younger generation looks at religion now as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I've got a YouTube comment here that popped up, and this is interesting. I've been waiting for this to come down. It said, "Gene, you guys should talk about apophenia." So, apophenia is the erroneous perception of patterns or correlations in random or unconnected phenomena, events, and data. Okay, it's a noun, right? And that's what many of the atheists out there will, and folks that are non-believers in creation, will point to this every time. And here's what I'll tell you about this. Fair enough. But even in the definition of the existence of apophenia, you have a faith and belief that those things are not connected. What I'm suggesting to you in return to that is, how do you know that? You are so convinced and so in a belief and you have faith that these things are not connected.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you that the only proof there is out there is that some of these things could be connected. There's no proof that they're not. There's just the thought that they're not connected.
Right.
So in and of that, it's a great mechanism to attempt to dismiss without going further down the rabbit hole. I'll give you that. But I'm not convinced that is even a real, piece there, because my personal experience led me to a different side. Adam, you're talking about your son, and I got to tell you, the other night I was having a conversation, and we had to make that run real quick to South Dakota for my wife's Uncle Dick. He passed away, U.S. Navy vet, which I will embarrassingly openly admit I had no idea he was a Navy vet the whole time. I knew he worked at the post office. He actually was a police officer for a short stint before he started being a postal worker. I had no idea Uncle Dick was a Navy vet. I can tell you Uncle Dick was living on borrowed time to begin with. 20 years ago, he had a liver transplant. And Doc said pretty much, you got about 10, Dick. That's about what you're going to get. He went 20 plus is what he did. Yes. And every time at every one of the big family, my wife has an amazing family. I love them dearly. They're a big family that there's no drama in this garbage whatsoever with this family. It is blue collar, hardworking, love family before anything is her whole family. And at every one of the events where Uncle Dick would be there, I sought him out. He was funny. He always had a wit to it. He always had something in there that, would just make me smile. And his smile would lighten the room up, man. It was full of life. Just every time he would get. Now, remember our last interaction? He bought a boat. His wife was not happy with that boat. And so I remember going up and sitting down beside him as he was eating, and his wife was on the other side of the table. I'm like, so, is Vicky going to be the one driving the boat when we go jet or water skiing, Uncle Dick? And he looks at me, he's like, no. That was our last interaction together. And that whole piece, anyway, I went off on a tangent. Love Uncle Dick. Bless you, buddy. I hope you're resting well now. But my son watched the house for us that night. We did a quick turn and burn down and back. I come home and I was telling him a little bit about this, that, hey man, I'm kind of going on this, a little bit of a journey here. I'm reconnecting with some belief structure here a little bit. And I'm starting to look into this. And he looks at me and he says, I was kind of wondering, Dad, because I saw your book up there on your desk. And I'm like, what book is that? And he says, well, you got 2 Bibles up there. I was like, yes, I do. was like, I got the King James version back here, but that's full of a little bit too much thous, thems, and thines for me. And so I had to gene it down a bit, and I got a little bit easier one to understand called the English Standard Version. And he says, that's really weird because I've actually been really thinking on this topic quite a bit. Well, Adam, I'm going to tell you straightforward. I've been reconnecting with some prayers here. And about 2 weeks prior to him telling me that, in my prayers several times was me asking that please help my son find a connection and find peace, find purpose, and find some comfort in this. And so for this kid to sit here and out of the blue mention this to me, I'm sitting over here and I'm damn near ready to bust into tears. And I just told him, I say, son, you couldn't have told me something to make me feel any better tonight than that right there. Remember, it's your personal journey.
Yep.
Just keep going. There's no right, there's no wrong, this and that. Let's see here. Not saying it proves it, but rather that the Hindu will find the meaning within the context of their religion, the Christians and theirs, the Muslim. Oh, okay. Yeah. It's a solid point.
Yeah.
It truly is.
Yep.
And I think, Garfunkel, I'll be honest with you, I think that's the genius that is in most religions, is that it's meant for interpretation. It's not meant to be a singular point of 1 and 1 equals 2 type thing, because life isn't that way. Life is full of complications and twists and turns and things of this nature. Let's see, what's the other comment that he put here? Not to diminish it or say that religion is false because of it, but it's an interesting consideration of why we feel like we are patterns when there may not be some. You're right. Yeah. That's a sound point. And for most of my life, I'll be honest with you, I was comfortable living there. I was comfortable staying right there. If you don't mind, I'm going to go down. I went down this little definition path real quick here. I just want to hit on a couple of these. First thing, faith. So a complete trust or confidence in someone or something. Okay, so jump to confidence. What does that say? The feeling or belief that one can rely on someone or something firm and trust. Okay, so what's belief then? An acceptance that a statement is true or that something exists. This is the belief. Trust, faith, or confidence in someone or something. Confidence, the feeling or belief that one can rely on someone or something. There's an interconnection that takes place with this, within these. And I do believe 100% that, I had it there. Hang on a sec. William Cummings, Army chaplain, made a statement before the Battle of Bataan. I believe it was 1941. And the statement was, there are no atheists in foxholes.
Yeah, that's if you've ever spent time in a foxhole.
And here's what I'll tell you. Armed with faith, I don't think there is a more dangerous soldier. Training and faith. If they have training and they have faith in their unit, faith in their mission, faith in their spirituality, I think that is probably the most effective, use that word better, most effective soldier on this planet. If you didn't have that, I don't know. I think you're giving up in droves of hundreds and thousands out in the middle of a desert and walking your way, surrendering to CNN crews, quite frankly. I mean, that to me, that's, you know what I mean? If when you lose that faith, I think that's, you start to lose a lot of stuff.
Well, that's very true. That's a true statement. I like how you at the beginning, Gene, said that faith is, in you're comparing faith, or you're saying that faith is, everybody has faith.
Yeah.
I never really looked at it from that point of view, because I've always looked at it like, I've talked about taking a leap of faith and, having faith in knowing that whatever God, the universe, or whatever it is that you do or don't believe, life is going to happen the way that it is supposed to. And
right.
You just have to be, if you can come to grips with that and have faith that that's going to happen, then I think personally that takes a lot of stress off your shoulders, and it allows people to kind of enjoy life a little bit more. Because as you and I sit here tonight, and we have several people that are on the live feed, and we thank you guys for being here tonight. Tomorrow is the past is in the past. You can't change it. Tomorrow's the future. We don't know what lies ahead. And what's the saying? That's why they call this the present.
Right?
I have faith that life is going to happen the way that it's supposed to. That's not to say you sit on your ass and do nothing. You still got to work. You still got to do the things. Go have goals, have the visions and things that it is that you want to do, but you have to have faith that you will get there at some point, as long as you're putting in the work. But you have to believe and you have to have faith, because if you don't believe and you don't have faith, I guarantee you shit's not going to happen.
Agreed. One has a possibility, the other has hopelessness, right? And it's in that piece that I think when you start to apply problem solving to it, there's a principle within the good book that says God helps those who help themselves. And this is
such an amazing work of art.
Yeah.
Right.
100%.
You said earlier, like, this isn't it's not a what did you say?
A manual. It's not a life manual per se.
It's not like a life manual, but it's like you can take things from the Bible and incorporate them into your life. I'm going to go out on a limb and say I'll promise you life gets a lot better.
I could not agree more.
But here's the thing. The problem is a lot of people are afraid to do it. I was for the longest time. I admit it. I have a problem reading and reading and comprehending stuff. So I have one of those Bibles that, like, you read a passage and then you got to scroll down to the bottom of the page, and then it dumbs it down so like a 5-year-old can understand.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I don't have is the pop-up one. Yeah, that's yeah.
Is Amazon, can I still deliver by Christmas?
Somebody, I swear to God, if one of you SOBs sent me a copy of the Bible, these sons of bitches. No, but you know what I mean, though? It's one of those, because we deal with it every day. Here's the thing. We're going to make mistakes. Life is going to be stressful at times. There are things that come to us. It's not meant to be easy. Right. Life, we've all heard this. Life is what you make of it, right?
Sure.
But you have to believe and you have to have faith. And if you and in doing so, that gives you hope too.
Yeah, there's a principle piece here we talked about, helping those who help themselves. There's also free will. Free will is meant to be there. It's for a purpose. If you for instance, the book of Job, this is one of the most ironic stories. You and I were talking, sharing stories, and our experiences from the past. And as we were talking, I'm sitting here, I got it on speakerphone, and I grabbed my book and I open it up, and it literally opened to where my bookmark is at, the book of Job. We get off the phone. I start to read this and I go through this, and it's a quite an interesting account. I mean, it goes on and on and on for these conversations that go between, there's four people, and then God finally enters the conversation with Job later. And basically the bottom line is, you got a very successful, great, human being here in Job who had everything, was well respected, this and this. And God basically gave Satan the green light to, you can test him. Go ahead. And so he tested him multiple times, because Satan questioned whether or not this guy would be, if he lost all these great things, if he'd still be as faithful. And it wasn't until the very end that, Job started to question his faith. Why would this happen to me? And why would God permit this? And goes through this. And at the end of it, it's basically God telling him, you do know I got a lot of stuff going on, right? You're not the only thing in the universe for me to pay attention to. Type deal is basically what he's, what it gets down to, at least my interpretation of it.
Yeah.
And it says basically that, but you've kept faith, you've kept strong, you questioned, and you're okay to question. There's nothing wrong with that. And at the end, good health was returned. Eventually he went through it. So it was, yes, he had to go through. Nobody's saying it's going to be, this perfect ride throughout. But there does need to be a point by if you go through life thinking this is it, that when this is done, or that random occurrence is all that is taking place in this world, I submit to you this is probably at the heart and reason for a lot of our mental health issues that we have in this world right now. Specifically, I'm going to speak to America. That we have I believe we have an epidemic on our hands of mental health right now across all demographics.
Yeah.
But to have no hope, to have no thought that no matter what you do, it's just going to be a shit sandwich that you're going to have to take a bite out of.
And
that is a miserable existence, man.
Right. And it's hard to think like that, because try telling that to somebody that's been homeless, and that's been trying to find a job, and that's been that is trying to overcome an addiction, or that's trying to live a better life, and they feel like the wheels keep spinning.
Yep.
Right. I can count a handful of times in my life where I felt that way, and it was just like, what the hell? I guess this is what my life is supposed to be like. And there was a time where I lost hope and I lost faith for a while, and it sucked.
Yep.
It was miserable. Single dad, laid off from a great job that I had at the time, which ended up being a blessing, getting laid off.
Right.
And then not knowing what I wanted to do when I grew up. And at that time I was 32, 33 years old, and I was like, shit, I'm grown. Like, and I'm still trying to figure out what it is I want to do.
Right.
And it wasn't until several years later when I finally, figured that out. I think we got a comment here. What do we have?
Yeah. Can you clarify that you're saying it's either a belief in God or there's nothing and no sense trying? No,
Well,
that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that if your belief is that the world and our lives are not part of anything bigger, and that we are just a series of random occurrences, then that can be, for many people, an empty existence.
yeah.
It truly can, because it pretty much leaves everything wide open on the table. If that were the case, if that's how you actually believed and lived, then why don't you rob somebody? Why don't you, do, and people will immediately jump to because I want to be a good human being. What is good? How did you define good to begin with? It's like I don't know, man. There's something else. It's a hard thing to try to grasp, to tell me that, especially pulling from personal experiences now, that that our universe that you see around us, the energies that we have drawn around us, are only in its physical, measured existence. It's just not possible. The amount of perfection and random occurrence that has taken place, 1 in a million chance of us, evolving to this state, or our planet being where it's at. That alone should tell you something, man. It's at some point logic does have to interject there to go, okay, hang on. There has to be,
Might be something here.
That's what I'm getting at. Yes.
Might be something here.
You have to at least acknowledge the fact that there
Right.
could be something else at play here on
But
a
here's
major
the thing.
level.
You got to be open to it. You got to be open to the idea. Because I know, listen, I'm not I've been pretty public the last couple of years about my faith. I'm not a Bible thumper. You're not going to listen. If it works for you,
Yeah.
If you've never tried it, give me a call. I'll be happy to tell you how I got started in it. But I'm not sitting here. I'm certainly not going to sit here and tell people you need to do this, you need to do that. When I talk and when I share my faith, I'm just telling you what's worked for me. I'm not saying it might not work for you.
Yeah.
And there's some people that I got friends that I'm close to. they still have that they're non-believers. They believe in the universe. They believe in something else or whatever. Great. I respect that. That's your belief. I'm not going to take that away from you. You're entitled to that.
Yeah.
For me, this is what's worked for me because I've seen God work in my life. And then I've learned to have faith in, I quit a corporate job. I had a mortgage, a car payment. I was a single parent. And I had no money in the bank. And my dumb ass decides, hey, we're going to quit a job that I'm getting a paycheck every 2 weeks. And I'm going to take this leap of faith and go all in on myself. I said this in an interview that came out earlier this week. When I share my story, it's not to motivate people. It's to tell people, don't do the shit I did.
Exactly.
No,
you said something that's exactly true and right, is that I don't subscribe to what most would, the organized religious pattern that's out there. Okay, that we see out there. I'm not saying that this stuff is word for word truth. Okay,
right.
That's not my point. I believe 100% that your search of faith, your search of belief, and your trust is just that. It's a personal journey that
100%.
But you said it. You got to be open to this. I want to share a quick story here. Josh Booth was going to be here tonight. He and I spoke off air. And this occurred for both of us. So prior to a certain event, and Josh and I are good friends, but we don't talk to each other on a daily basis, right? We don't share. He's in Missouri. I'm out here in Colorado.
Yeah.
We were invited to go to Peterson Outdoor Ministries, that special tournament event that we went to.
Yeah.
Tron Peterson has an amazing retreat location, the Lodge of Hope that's out there. I went to this knowing there was going to be a lot of prayer. There's going to be a lot of talk of God and Jesus. And at the time, to be honest with you, just not my cup of tea. Wasn't real interested in it.
Right.
This was this year. Josh Booth was in the same boat as I was. As I was driving there from Colorado, I had the conversation in my head. Hey, man, just this time, just open your brain a little bit. Just listen to what they're saying. Talk to some people and just be at least willing to hear what's going on here. And I remember telling myself, all right, fine. Yeah. I won't immediately poo-poo it in my head.
Right.
So the weekend took place. And I can tell you, one of the first things I told my wife on the drive home and when I got home, my experience, what I felt, because heard many testimonials from a few people there. They had just had a veteran gathering prior to us showing up for this one-day event. And there had been several individuals that were considering some dark things that retreat helped change their perspective on what they were doing with that. So there were some lives being saved here. We get done with this great event. And what I came away from was feeling that, you know what, dude? All I felt at this was this immense love. Mind you, there were a couple female anglers there, but this is mainly a bunch of alpha, salty dog, kayak anglers hanging out in the woods, smelly, unshaven, gnarly dudes hanging out at this lodge, fishing for a great cause. And there was this sense of peace. There was a sense of love. There was a sense of belonging. And while I may not have known Roy Boyd prior, he was the vet that Team TPO won the kayak for when we were there. I left there, and the moment I saw him and started chatting with him, knowing that we were fishing for a chance to win him a kayak, I felt as if he was my brother already. There was just this sense of belonging.
Yeah.
And this was coming from, a guy who was not real sure how that part was going to go, right? I knew it was going for a good cause, and I'm all in on that. But the other stuff, Josh Booth shared with me that on his drive home, which was much shorter than mine, he had, and I shit you not, the identical, almost word for word experience that he felt from that weekend. And up until he and I having that conversation, and we were going to have it here this evening, I started going down through this book. Josh's wife is doing Bible study now. She's reading through, and they sit around and talk with each other about certain things,
Yeah.
things they're reading, lessons they're learning from this stuff. And he absolutely 100% felt the almost identical feelings that I was feeling coming from this. And I'm sitting here going, okay, dude, at what point can I sit there and go, okay, well, another random occurrence, I suppose, that we both, two guys coming from two different walks of life, walked away from an event feeling, really going, wow, hold on a second. No, dude, there's something there.
Yeah.
There's something there, and it's powerful on a big level. There's just no question in my head these days. Did you ever run into a situation that gave you that light where it was like, okay, hang on. Maybe there's something going on here. Be it in service time or in civilian, in your out of service time. Was there ever a moment that kicked on a light to go, hang on a sec, what's going on here?
Man, there's like several. There was time during deployment 2003. It was kind of during the initial Isaiah 6A. That's Ron, Airborne Ron. I love them. Him and Helen, great people. My son, prior to me getting deployed, my son was about 10 days old, and I, 25 years old at the time. It was. I just wanted to. I've always wanted to be a dad, and I had that opportunity. And then 10 days later, I'm at Moab Station, getting ready, gearing up to go fight in a war.
Yes, sir.
And I had to have faith that I was going to make it back, because I needed to believe that I was going to come back and be a dad. And I kept praying, like, if I make it back, God, I'll be the best dad in the world.
Start bartering.
You're like, listen, if you do this,
then I'll do this.
But with all of that, let me say a sidebar to that real quick, because it ties into it. I did that a lot, and I felt guilty about asking for that. Felt selfish for years later. It kind of wore on me a little bit. But then it was like, I'd ask for, like, I went from one bad relationship to that, and no secret, and it was like, God, I'm with this person. I just, hope this relationship works, blah, blah, blah. And then it'd be like a month or two later, I'm like, Jesus, for the love of God, get me out of this relationship. And then it was I always felt like, no. You wanted this. I'm giving it to you. Figure this shit out on your own now. You know what I mean? So it was kind of like it had to learn. And it was, fast forward several years. I learned, again, this is my own personal experience.
Sure.
I had learned, I was questioning, is God really real then? Because why am I a single dad? Why am I this? Why isn't this working? And it wasn't that it wasn't working. It's because I wasn't listening. And that's how I had started to lose faith, is because I wasn't listening. And when you start to listen, I had to figure out how he was communicating with me. Because I always tell people, and again, this is my opinion, your mind will play tricks on you. Your heart will deceive you. But your gut, that some bitch is right 100% of the time. You start listening to your gut. So when Adam started listening to his gut, I felt like that was kind of God communicating with me. And man, let me tell you something, Gene. There were times where I was sick to my gut. But when I started recognizing that and changing that, man, life got a whole lot sweeter. right?
That's powerful.
And it led to another. And I'll share this one more time. Sometimes faith comes to you in a dream. Maybe God's telling it to you through your gut, right? Or maybe it comes in the form of somebody, a family member or a friend. In 2013, it was April 1st, April Fool's Day, true story. I quit my corporate job, right? I took that leap of faith and I went all in on my business at that time. 2015, we shut that business down, had business bar. It wasn't working out. And I was contemplating it going back to the corporate side of things. And I'll never forget this. I've told this story before. I'm sure Pops is watching. I was sitting at a bar in Tucson, Arizona with my Pops. And my Pops was the kind of guy where he was very much the type, get a job, work it for 30 years, retire, die.
Yep.
Like cut and dry, old school, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're sitting there and I'm telling him this. Now, mind you, I'm expecting him to tell me, go get a job. That's not what happened.
Wow.
And that's when I realized, okay, if Pop has faith in me, then maybe I need to have a little more faith in myself. And maybe this is right around the same time where I started listening to my gut.
Mm.
Like God's been telling me to do this, and I've been purposely not doing that because I was either afraid or I was trying to be in control. And when I started having faith and kind of letting go of the things I couldn't control anyway,
Sure.
life got a little more easier. It wasn't easy, but it got easier. It got less stressful. Still stress, but not as much. And it became a little more enjoyable.
I'm going to venture to say you started feeling like you were doing what you were supposed to be doing.
I can tell you exactly when that happened. I was 38 years old. This was almost 10 years ago when I finally, and I'd been, an entrepreneur at that time for a couple of years, but at 38 years old, for the first time in my life, I had felt, and I've been saying it ever since, I am today, as I'm sitting here tonight on this live feed with you, I am here at this point in my life at 47 years old, exactly where I am supposed to be in my life. I don't question it at all.
You see, 3 years ago, I felt a similar piece, and it wasn't until I started paying attention and listening a little cleaner. My wife told this to me last year when I started really questioning whether or not this was the path. Do I continue on this? I've never made it a secret. I don't make an income to own the TPO. I don't make an income to do the podcasting, nothing. So I've gone 3 years now without a paycheck, and I have a very successful wife who has stood my organization on her shoulders financially to put us on the ground and get us running, and support her husband through this entire thing. And I was really questioning a lot of these things, and my wife, who, whether I was married to her or not, I would still tell you is one of the smartest human beings I've ever encountered in my life, and someone that I admire, am inspired by, and just completely in awe.
Funny how the right woman would do that to you.
I'm telling you, her statement was, I have no question in my mind and my heart that you are doing exactly what you are supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
She said those words, and she was probably, further away than I was in some of these areas. So when she said that, dude, I had nothing to return with other than, you think that? You think so? Well, shit. Okay, then what's then I still don't know what to do right now. I gotta,
Let me ask you something. It sounds like your wife has a lot of faith in you.
Oh, massively.
So
Yeah.
does Gene have faith in himself? Like, can you look in the mirror and say that you have, or that you at least hope that you're on the right path, or you have faith that you are on the right path and faith in what it is that you're doing?
I have faith in that I will do what's right. I will not go and sacrifice integrity or honor for anything. It just won't happen.
Right.
So I have trust in that and I have faith in that. Am I sure? I'll be honest with you, man. I have an opportunity to maybe get into mortgage lending, and I'm wondering, is that the right path? Or I do that at the same time while I run the nonprofit? I was talking to you about the possibility of some life coaching stuff, that I was curious about. I question every day, man, what is that? Is that the sign? Is that where I'm supposed to be rolling with? I don't know yet. I'm learning to, and I'll tell you my reconnection with with God and my reconnection with the Bible and Christianity, if you will, maybe not in its normal traditional sense, but just my reconnection with God
Yeah.
is helping in that area. It's slowly building that confidence up that I'm going to keep working my ass off and I'm going to keep digging and keep fighting. And sooner or later, I'm going to feel it. I'm going to know, because I'll tell you what, when you know, you know. And the way I did not believe that shit. Did not believe that until my wife and I reconnected some 25 years after we had initially dated. When she got out of the car at my brother's house when I was out here in Colorado visiting for the first time in 5 years, she got out of the car and walked up because we were going to go out to lunch. And I'm telling you flat out, it was like a set of meteors came running out of the sky and smacked me in the forehead, looking at her and said, "There, dumbass, that's why nothing else was working, is because she's standing right in front of you." That was beginning of November of 2016. By December 15th, I proposed to her. And she said yes. And we got married in May of 2017. Keep in mind, both of us had 17-year relationships with other people prior to this. I had just got done with a not a fun divorce, was a single dad for quite a few years. My plan was I'm moving south, going fishing as soon as I get those kids off to college. My ass is Missouri bound. I am getting out of here. She completely derailed that, just upended the whole apple cart. And for the first time in my life, it was because I finally knew. And that was, it was, I could go into the long story of how we reconnected there of wait a minute, that should have never occurred. How in the hell did you two cross paths all of a sudden again after 25 years? And it was because we needed to go the path we needed to go in order to understand where we're at right now. And now I know for a fact that my final days on this earth will be spent next to that woman right there as my best friend and my soul savior. There's no question about it. She is my center of my universe through and through. And that's, that just could not change. There's nothing man-made or not made that could change that, And I'm telling folks out there, I tell my son this, I tell anybody I come across this, it does exist, man. It's rare, but it's out there, and you will know at your core. I have one story that I wanted to share. I've said this before, and actually, you got a question there. Gart Funkel, who's been doing some great questions there, wanted to know, did you go back to corporate or start a new job or what?
No, I started another business, and then I started another business several years after that. And so now I have, 4 businesses. I sit on 3 or 4 nonprofit organizations as an advisor or as a board member. I stay
ridiculously busy.
insanely busy, and yet I make time for myself. And again, I'm able to do all of this stuff is because I have faith that everything is going to work out the way this. You got to stop worrying about shit. And I put the worry, I turn the worry into faith in a sense of it'll happen. And that, to some people, that sounds irresponsible. Hell, it sounds a little irresponsible just saying it out loud as I'm sitting here. I realize it, folks. But if you knew my track record, you'd know I'm not the one that picks the easy road. Like, I don't pick the road. I find the thickest part of the woods and start walking through that because I'm a dumbass. But that's just it. It is what it is, and it's what works for me. And again, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for, I think, having hope, believing, not necessarily in myself. I do believe, I'm starting to believe in myself. At 47 years old, I'm slowly starting to believe. But I certainly believe that God has me where I'm supposed to be in life. My purpose in life is to help other people get to where they want to go.
Amen.
Period.
Yeah.
Period.
And dude, that is what I was. You had mentioned earlier. For those folks out there maybe going through some addiction situations, substance problems, homeless situations. The question then, how do you muster up faith through that when you're right in the middle of when you're shin deep in shit, basically.
It's the question lies is, do you want to make a change? And then what are you willing to do to make that change? And some people, I can't do this, I can't do that. I hear a lot of can'ts.
Yep.
And this is going to sound very insensitive. I already know it's going to, because I'm kind of an asshole, and that's how it works sometimes. And it's certainly not my intent. You don't always have control over situations, right? I've had a house foreclosed on me. I've had, cars repoed. I've been through some shit. You don't see all of that stuff, a lot of it on social media. 'Cause I'm also one that doesn't share a lot, believe it or not.
Yep.
But I'll share those experiences offline a lot of times, or on personal levels, and I take experiences that I've had in life, and I try to incorporate that in somebody that is going through a hard time, whether you're homeless or you're feeling down because it's the holidays, or whatever. Pick something. Yeah, I'll find a way to get you out of it. That's I just and this is going to sound arrogant, and this is certainly, and Gene, you know me well enough to know that that is not who I am at all. But that is something that I'm good at.
100%. And here's where I'll point to. I'm with you. I'm a pull your boots up, right? Pull by the straps, grab your bootstraps, and get back at it. I'm not a great person when it comes to the
Like the cheerleading, loving.
yeah. That's
You're more of like,
I love, but I love hard
yeah, but
hard love.
like I have no filter.
Yeah.
I'm pretty direct, because here's the thing, like, I'm going to be honest. And are there times where I could be a little more soft? No, that'd be, sure, there probably is, but then I'm not being who I am, and then that just kind of defeats the purpose. I shouldn't have said anything at all then, right? But here's the thing. I'm going to tell you this stuff, but I'm not going to leave you hanging. I'm going to be right there with you then.
Exactly that.
I'm not going to tell you some shit like, Gene, you need to do this, and you need to do that, and you need to get your head out of your ass, and you need to lace up your boots, and this is how it's going to be. And then walk off.
Nope.
Mic drop. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
no. Like, it's like, okay, let me know when you're ready. Gene, let me know when you're ready, because I'm going to walk this walk with you. I'm going to make
100%.
sure that you get to where you need to go.
You see, and this is where I'll tell you, this is where faith starts to come in. There's a couple things, couple lessons that we're taught. Number one, he will never throw anything at you that you can't handle.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one.
I wish you wouldn't trust me so damn much.
Exactly. Right?
I'm just saying.
I don't tell a lot of people about, the details of my childhood growing up, this and that. And most folks, quite frankly, would be a little bit shocked. But I'm going to share just a story here real quick. This was into my teens. Okay. I was not a good kid, right? Raised by a single mother. My brother and I were the only two mainly in the house most of the time. But I was not a good kid. I was angry at the world. I was involved in stuff that I shouldn't be involved in, this and that. Well, I was also pretty good talker, and for the life of me, I got into a lot of scrapes and always seemed to come out on the right end of them. At least I thought it was the right end I needed to be on, because I tend to walk away in most cases where maybe Not as many people did. So this was kind of where I was living in this little podunk town. Well, I had a buddy of mine for like a summer. He was a good friend, and his girlfriend was, I could tell, really had also eyes for me. They had dated for like a year. They broke up. I'm speeding this story up. She and I got together, unbeknownst to him. And when he found out, it wasn't good, as you would expect, teenage boys. And this, he and I were supposed to be friends. And I broke the bro code. There's no question about it. I should have never done it. It was a shitty thing for me to do, even though, no, it was a shitty thing. I shouldn't have done it. Well, one night downtown, he and three of his buddies drive by, and I'm standing by myself. Rarity, I'm standing by myself at the corner of this street, and he comes up and he comes out. He says, "Hey, man, we need to take a drive, and we need to have a talk." I said, "Okay." And in my head, I look in the car, and I know what's about to go down, and I'm like, there's only three of them. This is what I'm thinking in my head, right? Like an idiot. I'm setting myself up for like a Hallmark, bad, situation that's about to occur. So I get in this, because keep in mind, we're in the middle of the butt crack of Ohio. All right. Mm. This is backwoods Ohio where I live. Things happen down there that never get heard of. I get in the car. They drive around the block, go through the alley, and get ready to head out of town. They're standing in front of us. I'm going to speed this up a little bit. Couple brothers standing there, known throughout the town. I knew of them, the Skaggs brothers. Nobody screwed with them. These guys were nuts, right? And they were very, very, very willing to show anybody just how nuts they were. They stopped the car. Johnny Skaggs pokes his head in, probably the craziest out of them all. Says, "Hey, what's going on here?" And he looks at me and goes, "Gene, right?" I'm like, "Hey, Johnny." And the other guys are looking around because they know who the Skaggs boys are. And I look at Johnny, and I don't know if it was the look on my face or what. Literally, Johnny's like, "Hey, Gene, I want you, come on, hang out with us, dude. You guys going anywhere?" They stopped. I got out of the car and went with Johnny. 5 years later, I'm living in Colorado. I get a phone call, folks. This was before cell phones. This is the early 1990s. I get a phone call. And I kind of know the voice out here in Colorado. It's Johnny Skaggs. He goes on to explain to me how he's coming out to Colorado and he wants to see me when he gets out here. And I said, okay. Keep in mind, I'm a young man in my early 20s. Johnny gets here. He's got his wife. He is now a preacher in the works. And I go meet him for lunch. He has 3 kids running around. I said, "Johnny, what are you doing out here, dude? This is like 2,000 miles from home. What are you doing here?" He looked right at me on my kids' names. He says, "I don't know, but God told me I needed to find you." And I remember sitting there, and I'm getting chills telling you this story. I have told no one that story of me in that car, of what about happened that evening and why Johnny came into my life, and why 5 years later this man grabbed his wife and 3 very young kids, drove across to simply have KFC with me in the park of a hotel in Longmont, Colorado. He left 2 days later, he left and just said, "You should pick the Bible up. You should do a little reading. That's all. I don't know why I'm here, but I'm going to leave you with that message." And man, I was in my 20s, and again, like you, Adam, I didn't listen. I just kind of wrote it up to go, what the hell was that all about? And I thought to myself, wow, what sort of religious goofball do you got to be to grab your whole family and go drive across? That's where I placed it for the longest time in my head. But I'm telling you, that guy was set into my life for some reason, and whatever reason, so many years later, it was meant to come back there and knock on my head a little bit to go, hey, I told you this before. I've been hip checked and shoulder checked so many times in my life. I could tell you stories time and time again that I'm now realizing that I was going down the goofy ass path and got knocked right back onto the tracks.
Yeah.
I started to go down a road that was going to be really bad and got bumped for whatever reason. Like you said, it came in the form of family, friends, life, whatever it may be. I firmly believe, because I know it in my heart, that is part of that plan. And that plan has got me here to where I'm sitting at today, having this show with you, talking to folks, and having, a completely different view on life, that we're going to get there. I
Yeah.
know. I've got hope, man. I've got hope. I've got confidence that it's there. I'm going to keep doing what's right, keep listening, keep paying attention, and help serving those that serve. That's the key. That's the calling. Finding a way to, like you said, I may not tell you something you want to hear, but I promise you I won't walk away from you. There's resources out there, dude. There's a pile of them. We have a ton here at the Heroes Media Group that you can tap into. If you're out there listening, watching this, whatever the case may be, we got you. Don't care what what your walk has been, man. Get a hold of us. We're here.
There's a question down here.
Help me understand something. You are both reconnecting with Jesus to help guide you through life, and also are saying it's about pulling yourself by your bootstraps. Which one is the driver? Because the Jesus story is not a self-rescue story. It is explicitly the opposite. Actually, I would respectfully disagree with you.
Yeah, on that part. But let me go up to the first part where he's guide you through life, and then saying it's about pulling yourself up by the bootstraps. So God gives you, let's say God gives you a vision. It happens to me. So like when God has shown me something that I need to do, or be somewhere, or do something, that I still got to lace up my boots, and I still got to put the work in to do it. I can't just sit on my ass and just wait for it to. Let me put it in another perspective for non-believers. If they're non-believers that are watching, right? Picture yourself standing on the street corner, on any street corner in your town, right? And you're standing on the street corner, and as traffic goes by, it's not traffic, that's life. The things that you want out of life, whether it's something material, or it's an experience, or it's a person, or it's whatever it is, you still got to take that step to get it. You still got to put in the work, right? Still got to have faith. Otherwise it won't happen.
100%.
So that's my answer there. You still got it. When I talk about pulling up your bootstraps, if Jesus is having that relationship with Jesus, he's telling you something, or God's showing you something, you still got to lace up your bootstraps, and you still got to push forward. You still got to put in the work. It's not just going to be handed to you. One could argue those non-believers that believe in the universe, let's say from a universal perspective, everything that you want out of life is right in the palm of your hand. You just got to grab it. One could argue, right?
Yeah, 100%. There's actually a book that was not published in the New Testament that I'm going to paraphrase too, and that was, I believe, the Book of Thomas, where Jesus is quoted as saying that lift up any rock, you will find me there. Turn back the bark of any tree, I am there.
Yeah.
You too can be the Son of God.
Yeah.
In that powerful statement is the fact that the leadings, the teachings that came through. If you look at the stories of his interactions here, it's absolutely a probably the one of the very first self-helps that ever was ever printed, that was out there, is that no, this will not be easy, and there's going to be problems around every corner, but you having faith to never give up and know that you're striving for something bigger than just yourself. It's, there's a purpose, driven piece with this, and we may not know where it's at, right? Yeah. But it's one of those things that it's there.
These are good. They're good questions. I appreciate the questions. Here's something I'm going to challenge everybody that's watching live right now, or that watched this throughout the week, is Napoleon Hill wrote a book. Most people know Napoleon Hill as Think and Grow Rich. There's another book that he wrote. It's very fascinating. It's called Outwitting the Devil. I encourage everybody to read it or listen to it. It's a very fascinating book, and it kind of talks about having faith and what it did for this gentleman back in the 1930s. I'll leave it at that.
Right. Yeah, I'm trying to find something real quick. I apologize. It's an interesting concept. I still believe 100% in the fact that it is a personal journey for you out there. I know that my heart has calmed. My mind is becoming more focused now. Understanding that there is something at play. There is a higher power at play. There's no doubt in my mind. My personal experiences in life have proven this to me. The difference is what happened this last year is I stopped trying to discredit it. Right?
Hmm.
I started admitting the fact. Okay, hang on. There's more here that says there is something going than purely my disbelief can account for.
Yeah.
And so it's a matter of, if it quacks like a duck and it walks like a duck, it's not a chicken, dog. Okay, I'm just saying it's not a chicken. It's I know a chicken is far more common, but but to me, that's where I feel like I'm at, is that I can't deny the existence any longer.
Right.
And Lord knows I tried. I mean, I tried for the longest time. I do something now also personally to wrap things up here. One of the things I make sure of too is in my learning how to get, this relationship that I personally have now. It's very different than perhaps what some would think. But I try to make sure that when I am having my conversations there, if I'm praying and I'm asking things, I never ask for myself. I try to always make sure I'm talking and I'm thinking about other people in there, and I'm hoping that in that process, yeah, selfishly, I'm hoping that by my work that I'm doing there, that things will go the way they're supposed to go. I remember going into this we had a big proposal we were doing with another nonprofit that was going to make some big moves for us with the TPO. And I remember grabbing the book and I remember thinking to myself, nope, I'm not going to ask anything. What I'm going to say is, or the only thing I'm going to ask is, please let tonight play out the way it's supposed to play out. Allow me to do my best efforts and allow everybody, one of us, to be, on good terms and in good health, and just hopefully things work out the way they're supposed to work out, and help me understand that,
Yeah.
in that process. Again, for those that are maybe in a dark place or wherever the case may be, man, there's resources out there. There's people that love you, regardless of what you might think right now. I'm telling you flat out, we know these. There's a lot of us out here that know the answer there. There are that people love you. All right. There's people out there that don't even know your name. I guarantee you, there's probably somebody out there that I already have a deep feeling for and a love for out there, a brother or sister out there that's in a bad place, that is on the verge that could be in a better place. And maybe through the resources and people that we know, we can get help, provide that pathway. You're going to have to get yourself there, but we can damn sure, like you said, Adam, we'll walk side by side with you, and we'll get you there.
Yeah.
Dude, thank you so much, man, for opening this up and having this chat. The two Marines were supposed to be here. One's sick, one's off, probably fighting a fire or a car wreck or something. More than likely, that's where Romans is at. He's on the volunteer, and Sunday nights tend to get crazy down there in Bama. I don't know what they do down south down there, but they enjoy their Sunday nights.
I bet.
Football. I mean, isn't Tide on Saturday?
Yeah.
Friday,
Saturday, something like that.
Yeah.
Let me say this, Gene, real quick. I
Yes,
appreciate you inviting me on to talk about what is the topic that's near and dear, to me. I appreciate everybody that's left comments and that has tuned in tonight, and those of you that watch this later on. Keep leaving comments, ask questions. I mean, we're here for you, and I mean, this is keep having hope, have faith, because life is much sweeter when you do, in my opinion. So I appreciate this opportunity.
Exactly. And Garfunkel, I'm going to leave you with this. That's a great question that you put up there at the end, for sure. What about the multiplying the bread loaves and fishes being multiplied? Why didn't he just inspire them to put in the work, get out there and fish, and get out there and bake?
I asked a very similar question when I heard that story the first time. I was like, I thought he taught him how to fish. Like,
this original phrase appeared in Ritchie's 1885 novel of Mrs. Diamond. But the quote is, give a man a fish and feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish and you feed him for a lifetime.
Yeah.
100%.
True.
Awesome. Folks at home, thank you so much for stopping in. Garfunkel, thank you, man, for being a great advocate
Yeah.
out here and being some great questions. Love that stuff.
Thank you.
And I'm going to tell you this, buddy, or gal, whichever you are, God bless you. I appreciate you, man. Thank you. And nothing but great health and good wishes for you and your entire family throughout the entire holiday season. And to everybody out there, I want to reiterate this. There's a lot of resources out here, folks. If you're hearing this, listening to this, if you stuck with us this whole time, reach out. We're here. This is what we do, serving those that serve or have served. You're not forgotten. You're loved. We're out here, and that's what we're in this thing to get done. So throw a DM. Hit me up on Facebook. That's the only social that I'm still left other than YouTube. But either one of those two, and you'll get a hold of me. Look up the True Patriot Outfitters. Look us up through online, and you'll find the contact form there, and that gives you a direct line right to me as well. Adam, brother, thank you, dog. You're heading out tomorrow. Best wishes.
Thank you, sir.
I'd give you a tight lines wish, but I know it's not fishing.
Not this time.
No. So what's the tight lines equivalent in hunting? Shoot straight?
Shoot straight.
Shoot straight. Yeah, that's what I thought. Cool. Awesome. All right, buddy. You
Appreciate
take care. Folks, as always, tie lines, shoot straight. We're going to add that in there. Be safe. Take care of each other, and God bless you.